Imagine not being able to read the paper because your hands were shaking. Imagine not being able to read newsprint as your world faded to black. The National Federation of the Blind, Newsline, Indiana. Monthly Report. With your host, Lee Martin, and co-host, Florence Myers-McSwine.
We want to welcome you to the National Federation of the Blind, Newsline, Indiana Monthly Report. This is a monthly show that we've been having on WHMB 40, and we are so glad to share information with the listeners with WHMB 40 throughout the state of Indiana. Florence, would you say this has been a great opportunity for us? This is our first full year of having this opportunity to share great information about a free service with the National Federation of the Blind. This is a free service that allows citizens that are blind, print challenged, even those that are deaf-blind, to have the opportunity to read newspapers, magazines, TV guide listings, and a plethora of other tools that we have out there where you can gain access to just almost any news or, like you say, publications. Would you say, Florence?
Publications. I know that it is a fantastic service for everyone of every lifestyle, coping with blindness, visually impaired.
And even those that have certain forms of dyslexia. You know, I find it's very interesting. Those that are deaf-blind now have access to this service. And we have some free publications, some new publications on there. Would you want to talk about some of those, Florence?
Sure. Now, I know that the new publications that I have been looking through are ESPN. If you like sports, that's for you. There's Sports Illustrated. There is a new publication out of Anderson publication. And there's one that I really love. It's called Stone Soup. Now, it is written by children all over the world, and it has a lot of information there, good information. And I have been going through them and been sharing that information with anybody that wanted to know what's new in the NFB Newsline.
Yes, and I tell you, within the state of Indiana, we have been privileged to collaborate with many entities. One of those entities is Bosma Enterprises, and today we do have a representative from Bosma Enterprises today, and she'll be explaining a lot about Bosma and how she got involved, and also the National Federation of the Blind Newsline free service. We just added the Anderson publication as well as the publication in Columbus, Indiana. So for those individuals that are in those areas, you can now access those publications free. Once again, it's a very free service, and it's a very independent and usable service by using your landline phone or using your smartphones or a device called the Victor Reader Stream or the Digital Talking Player, which is provided through the National Library of Congress to many citizens throughout the state of Indiana that qualifies for this service through the Talking Book and Braille Library Services, which is one of the sponsors of the National Federation of the Blind Newsline. So we'll take a short break and we'll be right back with our guest, and we'll introduce her to you. And stay tuned, you don't want to miss this segment.
Over the past 100 years, the faces have changed, but our mission has remained the same: to create paths to independence, to usher in opportunities for employment and equality, to replace obstacles with open doors, and to let people know it's possible to move forward, even when you can't see the way. Bosma Enterprises, navigating blindness since 1915.
I'm Danny Wayne Beamer, Program Manager of the Elder Blind Program at the Will Center in Terre Haute, Indiana. I introduce the NFB Newsline to seniors in 13 southwestern counties in Indiana. I also utilize the NFB Newsline for my radio station public affairs shows. The NFB Newsline, experience it today.
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
We are the nation's blind, and we read NFB Newsline.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us because we do have some very important information. Once again, we're with the National Federation of the Blind Newsline, Indiana. This is our monthly report show, and once again, this is our first full year of being with WHMB 40, and we want to thank WHMB 40 for having us on this station so that we can share pertinent information with our community. And we try to build lives, and as you know, every day the National Federation of the Blind, we have people working throughout the country and around the world, raising the expectations and changing what it means to be blind, and trying to get people to understand that blind people are just normal people, and we live lives just like everyone else. We want opportunities, equality and opportunity, just like everyone else throughout the world. So, Florence, you want to introduce our guest today?
Certainly, it's my pleasure. But first, I would also like to thank our viewing audience for staying in tune with us every week. And today, we have with us Miss Abby Villines.
Thank you.
And welcome to the show, Abby.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Yes, Abby. So I also want to thank you for taking the time out and for Bosma Enterprises to continue to be a supporter of the National Federation of the Blind Newsline and a lot of the other initiatives that we work together on throughout the state of Indiana.
Of course.
So you're with Bosma Enterprises, and what do you do with Bosma?
I am an administrative assistant in for the Rehabilitation Center. So I work with the clients in the event they need anything. I report to the Vice President of Program Services and Kurt Dykman, the rehab manager.
Okay, so that would be Mr. James Michaels?
He's the VP of Programs, that's correct.
Okay, well, we want to thank them for allowing you to have the opportunity to take the time off today. They haven't, by the time the show aired, they would have had the open house, right? Okay, and tell us a little bit about the open house.
All right, so we moved in the rehab center, or all of our programs department, moved into our new location on 7225 Woodland Drive. We moved in there late February this year, and it's a bigger space, it's newly renovated. We're able to serve more individuals who are coping with vision loss in our rehab center. And our grand opening is on Friday, May 11th at noon, and it will end at 3:30.
Bosma has been a community in our community for a very long time. And, they've really grown over the years. And, they bring about so many, with rehab. One of the services that Bosma assists us with is the free service with the National Federation of the Blind Newsline.
Correct.
Now, you see a lot of these rehab clients that come through there, and each of them are introduced to the service. Now, what's the impact that you see through the service itself?
They're able to access publications that they wouldn't have, once they lost their vision, or if they're just not able to read print anymore due to eye fatigue. And I think that's wonderful. They're able to access magazines that they've enjoyed and newspapers that they liked as well in their community. They're more informed of what's going on.
It's interesting that you use the word eye fatigue. That's the first time I've heard that one.
Okay.
Fatigued, okay. I guess mine is really fatigued because it's all gone, you know. I am teetotally blind. So eye fatigue, okay. You know, we've worked with a number of the clients that have come through BOSMA over the years. And once again, we want to say thank you, BOSMA Enterprises, for assisting us with this program, along with many other entities throughout the state of Indiana. But recently, we visited with BOSMA Enterprises and spoke to a new group that you have coming through.
The group was very interested in the service and having the opportunity to access newspapers, magazines, TV guide listings, and things that publications and things that they thought that they would not be able to have access to after losing their sight.
Right.
And one thing that I really like is that BOSMA Enterprises does give us an opportunity to introduce this service to those clients. And we've heard it from so many clients that it opens up doors for them that they thought were closed. And we've seen, for instance, this past week, group individuals who have been there for perhaps 3 months. One gentleman had actually said that he was just starting that day. So everything's new, and it's a lot of awesome information that they are getting. And so that's basically, you know, when we talk about the group, the diversity of the groups, you know, there were, well, for instance, one gentleman just said that he just got his degree. And, you know, he's still trying to, you know, find out, okay, now what next? I've lost my sight, but what's next?
Well, they're in all different various stages.
Yes, they are.
Of you know, if some folks have just recently lost their vision, or other folks have, you know, been coping for this for a few years or a good portion of their life. So they're all at different stages. Some folks have been introduced to this prior in their program. Maybe they weren't interested, but then once they, you know, attend that group, you know, that you and that Lee and Florence, that you both do, they kind of reconsider it again, and then they sign up and use it.
Yeah, there are so many tools that individuals can use to access information. And this is one of the most independent tools that you have, as accessing your daily news and magazine publications, where you independently can go through the newspaper 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you have weather alerts, you can go straight there. If you want to find out information on our state information channel and Newsline, you can go there. Or if you want to learn more about the National Federation of the Blind, you can also go on Newsline and read the Braille Monitor from the National Federation of the Blind. You can also read the Braille Forum from the American Council for the Blind, and also the National Federation of the Blind's presidential releases, just a plethora of information to keep consumers informed and individuals informed, because there was one individual there, that the gentleman that was from Hammond, Indiana, that's there for the first time one day. There's a gentleman there that's been there for 4 days. We had a young lady there that's working with the Governor's Planning Council, that's a partner. I thought that was very interesting. We had another gentleman, or 2 gentlemen, that were interested in pursuing college once they completed the rehab. And once again, there was a gentleman that was a doctor that was there that had lost his sight. So blindness has no barriers, and it crosses, you know, through all segments of life. And BOSMA's there, along with the National Federation of the Blind and other entities, to ensure that individuals have the opportunities that they want. They can pursue life. The biggest problem is changing the mindsets of decision makers and our society as a whole, that individuals are capable. So we'll be right back here on WHMB 40 on the National Federation of the Blind Newsline, Indiana Monthly Report. You gonna count me down?
We have disabilities.
And we make you uncomfortable.
It's why you love to vote as prom king.
Do you remember us on Monday?
You are afraid to see us fail.
It's why you place us in jobs
with few challenges.
We make you nervous.
So you do really silly things.
like talking louder
To someone who's blind.
Now, think about that.
And then take a deep breath.
Relax.
Relax.
Just be yourself.
Be you.
Just be cool.
Because most certainly,
I am.
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 This guy is.
We are.
Help us celebrate Indiana Disability Awareness Month just by being you.
Please show your support by sharing this video.
We are the nation's blind, and we read NFB Newsline.
As I travel the nation, I read NFB Newsline.
I live in Valparaiso, Indiana, and I listen to my local news on NFB Newsline. As a student, I enjoy reading current events on NFB Newsline.
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
Subscribe free to NFB Newsline today. Once again, welcome back to the National Federation of the Blind Newsline, Indiana Monthly Report. And we are privileged to have today with us Abby Villines. And she's with the Bosma Enterprises as a administrative rehabilitation service assistant. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, I did get that correct. So, what brought you to, well, let's start a little here. You were raised in Indiana?
In Indianapolis.
In Indianapolis. And you have a father that is coping with a disability.
That's correct.
And you want to share a little bit about that with us and with his disability?
Sure. In December of '98, after having some pain, severe pain in his hand, and some severe pain in his neck and some difficulty walking, he was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. 20 years later, he unfortunately is no longer able to walk or use his arms, either arms. So he can, from his high chest down, he can't use.
Okay. And you said 20 years later. So you said in 2000, I'm sorry, what year was that?
December of '98.
In 98. So you must have been very young.
I was 9 years old.
Okay, so it was a big change for everybody in the family.
It was, I remember it was close to Christmas time, him sitting us down in our bedroom and saying, I don't want you to worry about me, I'm okay, but I want to let you know what's going on. At that time, we knew very little, understood very little what was going on because he just had the diagnosis. But I remember going back to school after winter break and kind of, using the encyclopedias and all I could to kind of get to and find out more about it. The internet was still very, very young, so you still couldn't find a whole lot of information about it. And as a 9-year-old, not knowing how to access the internet yet, but just trying to find out all I could about it.
So, as a young lady and as a family, the courage of your father at that time to let you know what's going on with him, You know, as life, your days and your age beginning to progress through middle school, high school, and the MS, was it progressive at that time as well?
He has primary progressive. That's the worst. That's the worst kind of type to have. It's different for everybody. So what one person may have, you know, their symptoms present different than somebody else's. Somebody, it may affect their vision. And then somebody else, it may affect, you know, how they walk, if they're able to walk, and those sorts of things, or just balance. So it's different for, what's for one person isn't always the same for the other.
So how did that impact you by your father's inactivity at certain times? The reason I ask is because there may be some child or some father or some family going through the same scenario. And I'd like to know, how did you guys pull through all of this?
We tried to get him to as many things as we could. And we also got, we were much later able to obtain a wheelchair van, but we tried to just get him to as many things as possible. But I understood in the event that he was fatigued or just was having a really bad leg day, you know, I understood he just wasn't able to go. So I understood that.
So as a child and a teenager, you understood the challenges that your dad was going.
Absolutely. I knew it, every day I saw, him limping and how exhausted he felt sometimes. And especially when he, before he retired, when he would come home for work, and how difficult that was sometimes. So I just could tell, and I understood, especially if he fell, and how, I knew he was having a hard time at that point.
And so with the multiple sclerosis, at what point is he at a point where he has to have a nurse that comes in daily? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
He's at just an extended care facility where he can get better care than what we could have provided to him at home at that time. We would sometimes have in-home nurses coming in, and sometimes it just wasn't always reliable to get him, the care he needed, especially during the winter time with, flu going around or the stomach bug. It was just sometimes it was difficult. So we just wanted to, and I think it was very hard on my mom as well. It was very hard on her.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So you have brothers and sisters?
I have a younger sister. We're 18 months apart.
Okay. So, with father being impacted like that, and your family now, it sounds as though he still was a hopeful individual.
Yes. We try to enjoy every moment of him still being able to walk. I mean, we weren't. I think personally that if you are somebody that has a degenerative condition, you can sit there and worry about the future. You definitely can. What's it going to be like when I can't walk? What is it going to be like when I can't see? What is it going to be like when I can't move? And I know that's very difficult, hard to worry about, very hard thing to think about. So just try to enjoy everything while it was happening. And even now, we make jokes and just he still enjoys life now.
Still, it sounds like he's taking it just basically one day at a time.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, so you grew up basically being a caretaker too.
That's correct. Yes.
And that has prepared you for, I would say, the life you're leading right now. Your profession that you're in right now.
I think so.
With Bosma Enterprises. And I want to commend you on being a great daughter.
Oh, thank you.
We're going to come back here shortly and kind of wrap up this segment of the show. And we want to tell you we'll be back next week with part 2 of our interview. So I want to thank you for this segment, and we'll be back for the second segment.
Awesome.
On trying to encourage individuals and let individuals know the path that you had to take to get with your education, to get with your support systems, and to get to the profession that you're in today. Because I'm certain that there's some young lady or some young man out there that going through some struggles similar to what we just described.
Right.
So we'll be right back here on the National Federation of the Blind Newsline Indiana Monthly Report.
The National Federation of the Blind knows that blindness is not the characteristic that defines you or your future. Every day we raise the expectations of blind people because low expectations create obstacles between blind people and our dreams. You can live the life you want. Blindness is not what holds you back.
Thousands of Indiana residents feel isolated from the world due to vision problems. Thanks to the National Federation of the Blind, visually impaired Hoosiers can hear newspapers, circulars, and magazines from across the globe.
I'm a Vietnam veteran. I'm blind. I read Stars and Stripes on NFB Newsline.
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
Subscribe free to NFB Newsline.
If you or someone you know is visually impaired or print challenged, the National Federation of the Blind has a resource you need.
Wow, I scored a touchdown when I found sports on NFB Newsline.
I enjoy reading TV guide listings on NFB Newsline.
Learn more by calling 855-963-6476 or visit nfbnewsline-in.org.
We are the nation's blind. We read NFB Newsline.
It's free.
We want to thank you for joining our show today, and stay tuned for next week's program with Abby Villines with the Bosma Enterprises. And also be sure to visit our website, the National Federation of the Blind is nfbnewsline-in.org. Learn more about our services and learn more about the great organization.
The National Federation of the Blind Indiana Monthly Report. For more information, go to nfb-in.org or call 855-963-6476. That's 855-963-6476. The National Federation of the Blind encourages you to live the life you want.